Hi, this is Muhammad. Today I'll demonstrate how resources of one subnet in a specific VNet can communicate with each other with private IP. So for that reason, we need to log in portal.azure.com. I already logged in, and for this demonstration purpose, I need one resource group, one virtual network, one subnet in that virtual network, two virtual machine, and then I can demonstrate the whole process from the scratch. So when you log in to the portal.azure.com, I go to the dashboard of home. At first, I create a virtual resource group. I click on the resource group, I create and give a name of this virtual resource. For this purpose, I give a name that's named it's better I will show you one figure before doing this demonstration. I'm following this one. That might be helpful. I'll create a resource group in Sweden Central Region, and the virtual network name should be Virtual Network 1 with IPv4 address and one subnet named VNET 1. And inside the subnet, I'll create two virtual machines with these IP addresses. So I start creating now. It's VNet. No, it's a resource group. I give a name of the resource group. For example, VNet resource group. And I put it in the Sweden Central region. And then create and review. If validation has been passed, I create this one. It's creating. While it's creating, I go back home, go to dashboard. I now create a virtual network. Click on the virtual network button icon and I click virtual network link, and then I choose the resource group like VNet resource group. I give a name of this virtual network. Its name VNet 1 is in the Sweden Central region, and click IP address. I click remove default IP address. I give my IP address, although this is similar, but I'll show you from the scratch. So this is the virtual network IP address, and I now create one subnet in this virtual network. So I click on add subnet. I give the name of this subnet. It's named subnet 1 and give an address range 10.0.1.0/24, and then click on the add button afterwards. And now subnet has been created in the virtual network. I now click review and create. The whole virtual network with this subnet will be created after that. Its validation has been passed, so I create this one. It's deploying. It might take 1 or 2 minutes to deploy this. Deployment is completed. Go to the resources. If I go to the resource, I can see the VNet name here. And overview, I can see the address 10.0.0.0/16. And if I click on the subnet, I can see the subnet 1, that is subnet 1, and with the name with IPv4 address 10.0.1.0/24. So I go back home. Now I'll create a virtual machine. So start creating one virtual machine. Actually, I'll create two virtual machines in this subnet for demonstration. So I'll select the resource group at first. I'll give a virtual machine name like VM1 and choose the image of Windows Server 2019 edition. And I give a username and password. That should be a complex username and password. So when you give the username and password, I click on the next disk. I'm not doing anything on disk regarding disk here, networking. I leave as it is, but only one thing, I make sure that it is on the VNet 1 and subnet 1, because I have only one subnet. If I have a couple of subnets, it will show up a couple of subnets name here. But anyway, we have only one right now. And I leave the RDP port open for remote connectivity. And the management, I'm not doing anything here. Monitoring, I just disable the boot diagnostics option, and then review and create. Validation has been passed, and I create one virtual machine named VM1 in the Sweden central region. It might take a couple of minutes to make the virtual machine ready. Deployment is in progress. I'm not editing this video to demonstrate how long it takes. So VM almost ready. And as this is the first VM in this subnet, it will get the IP address by default, that is 10.0.1.4/24, because first couple of IP address are reserved for such special purposes. I'm not discussing that issue here. So after deployment of this virtual machine, I'll show you the private IP address and public IP address. But for this demonstration, we just use private IP to ping with another one. But for remote connectivity, we will use a public IP address with our username and password. That combination is ready. Go to the resources. I can show you the situation of this virtual machine. This VM1 is already ready and it already started with the public IP here and private IP here, and it shows that it belongs to VNet 1 and subnet 1. If you get this troubleshooting error message that virtual machine agent status is not ready, then it's go to connect and run this connectivity test. If you go back and home and go back resource virtual machine once again, you can see this error is no longer exist because the test resolved the issue. Okay, so now I create another virtual machine. I go back home and create virtual machine. Another one, new virtual machine. select the resource group and select, give a virtual machine name like VM2 with the same central Swindon Central region and with the same image of the Windows 19 data center server. And I give a username and password. I have another this complex password. And index and networking, VNET 1, Subnet 1, VM2. This is fine. Monitoring as it disable only this one and create. Now we'll check the validation. Running the validation. Validation has been passed. Now I give create command. Now it's creating the virtual machine and deploying afterwards. So once again, I make sure that I give you the information that private IP of one virtual machine can be used to communicate with another virtual machine of the same subnet, and the private IP of one virtual machine can be used to get connected from the remote location. So in short, I will show you the remote connection and pinging one machine to another. It should done in a short time. It's done. And if I go to the resources of VM2, I can see the private IP, public IP, and the same error message here. I might do refresh. If it's not gone, then I'll do the connection test again. Connect. And then this one, run RDP, connectivity test. Go back home, virtual machine, VM2. This is the VM2. Sometimes it takes a little longer because it's creating. Now it's gone. By default, it will go after a couple of minutes, but because this is the image it's using to deploy this machine, it might need a couple of minutes to configure the virtual machine in the data center. So it's all of these virtual machines are ready to go. So I'll demonstrate now. I go back home and I open virtual machine 1 and copy the public IP address and go to remote connection, desktop connection. I paste the public IP and then connect. It's asking for username and password. I give my username and password for the virtual machine number 1 and try to connect. I trust this certificate because I know this. I'm the person who is creating this one. Virtual machine 1 is almost ready to go. It's configuring, as this is the first time for it's running from remote location. but it will not take longer afterwards. Just preparing the settings of the server services. It's almost ready. If it asks for the network discoverable message, then I say yes. So it can be discoverable by other machine of the same network. Now, in this virtual machine, if I go and run the command prompt with cmd, it will show the command prompt. I open the command prompt. If I give a name, like command like host name, it will show the name of this virtual machine, that is VM1. If I need to see configuration, I give a command like config, ipconfig. It will show the IP address of this virtual machine which is named VM1. Now I get connected with the VM2. I go back to the portal, go back home, and go to virtual machine 2 and copy this virtual machine's public IP address. I go back to remote connectivity once again, paste this virtual machine IP address, public IP address here, and asking for username and password for this virtual machine. Now I get connected with this virtual machine plus the certificate. I move this one here to, we can see side by side of these two virtual machine. One is already running and the other one is almost ready to go situation. Preparing the server configurations. Hopefully it will finish shortly. Yeah, it's almost done. Again, we might get the message of the network discoverable issue. And I accept that, say yes, and go back to the server manager. I go back to the, and looking for command prompt for this one as well with cmd. You can see everything on the fly. So you can guess how long it takes to deploy a couple of machines in some network. If I go, you can see the prompt is different. Here is user/Islam, and the virtual machine prompt is user/Muhammad. Anyway, if I give the same type of command here, like host name, it will show the host name, that is VM2. If I need to show the configuration details, you can see that this is the configuration with IP address of 10.0.1.5, and this virtual machine wants IP address is 10.0.1.4. Now, if I ping from virtual machine 1 to 2, I can communicate. Ping 10.0.1.5. So I'm pinging from virtual machine 1 to virtual machine 2. I'm pinging with some equal packet to make sure that these two can communicate. As this two machine belongs to same subnet of one virtual network, it should communicate. But it shows that error message that request has been timed out because there is some issue with the firewall setting in server. And so we have to uh, stop the firewalls for the private IP. So how we can do that? There is a command like named firewall.cpl. If I run this command on virtual machine 1, it will come up with a graphical user interface. Yeah, it may take a little longer for the first time. Anyway, Windows Defender for firewall. This, and then turn Windows Defender for firewall on or off. And private network setting, I turn off this one and then press OK. The similar way, I go back here, virtual machine 2, and do the firewall command once again because this is the both-way communication. So both the machines should turn off their private network firewall and Windows Defender, and then I choose Windows Defender firewall off or on, then private network setting, let's turn off the Defender for firewall, and then OK. And then OK, yeah, and then turn this off machine and turn this screen off. What's this demonstration? I go back again. Now I'll go back Windows Virtual Machine VM1 again and ping. Now we can send 4 echo packet and receive 4 echo packet, no data loss, 100% accuracy. So if I go back here, VM1, VM2 and ping 10.0.1.4, I'm now pinging from virtual machine 2 to virtual machine 1. I can see that this virtual machine also can communicate with virtual machine 1. So this is the simple demonstration of how we can communicate in between resources of same subnet of one virtual network with the private IP address and disobeying the Windows Defender firewall. Thanks for watching.